Hello, Fear the Meerkat here. We're recording the 15th episode of Ocarina of Time Master Quest Let's Play. I did this yesterday, but it didn't work properly because for some reason it was out of sync. So I'm trying it again. Yeah, you have to shoot the cows. I know, that's weird. I am also drinking coffee, so if you hear a horrible slurping noise, just pretend that Jabu Jabu is doing it. So yeah, I have I don't know if it's a theory or a hypothesis or what. I know theory has an official scientific meaning, and most people, like the game theorists, don't actually think up theories. They think up hypothesis or something, but not that. But anyway, it seems to me that the cows can probably teleport themselves, probably because it's raining outside or something and they want to get away from the rain. But yeah, you only see them underground, apart from a small number in Lon Lon Ranch. And try to avoid those green fish. The only way you can kill them is when they're out of the water and you're also out of the water. I'll be talking about killing things in a minute, you know, like people do. Disturbing. But yeah, they must be able to teleport themselves underground. That's where you normally see them. But when you teleport, not that you can actually do it, but this is the idea anyway. Your molecules disassemble and then reassemble themselves. But if they reassemble themselves in the wrong order, that would be quite disturbing, because you might end up with an arm and a leg where your ears would be, for example, or something else where your ears would be. It's a horrible mental image, but I'm not going to say what it is. You've had enough clues. But anyway, you cannot shoot those cows from here, and also those cows are embedded inside his gums. I mean, this one's actually standing there, you know, but some of them have the lower half of their body actually stuck inside his gums, with the upper half pointing outwards. His or hers or its, I don't know. I think Jabu Jabu is supposed to be male. But anyway, it seems to me what happened then is when the molecules reassembled themselves, the cows were in the wrong place. They meant to go underground and they ended up in Jabu Jabu instead. And when they reassembled, the molecules of the inside of Jabu Jabu's mouth were already there in the place of the cow's legs and tail. So when they reassembled, they were partially embedded inside Jabu Jabu's gums, or whatever part of him that is. I'm assuming that the gums and that his anatomy is fairly close to that of a normal Earth creature. Anyway, you're supposed to actually hit the cow, shoot the cow first, and get the chest at the same time as you get the other stuff in that in this area. But I forgot that you needed to shoot the cow first, so there we go. Had to do it later. But yeah, most of the things here are very annoying because they're very hard to kill. Like the wobbly jelly-like red things that you're about to see in a minute. Most of them shoot electricity at you if you touch them. And they are only killable, most of the things in the stanza are only killable with the boomerang, which you do not have yet. Warning, I'm about to drink coffee. That's better. This is Princess Ruto, who I think looks much better as an adult. You'll see that later, briefly. But yeah, I don't like her much. She's bossy and she's quite full of herself. So she thinks she can order you. I suppose if she's a princess, she's probably... Why did she fall into that hole? It's not like it's a subtle hole, is it? It's not like it's easy to miss a massive hole in the ground. Anyway. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't like her much. See, I didn't ask to carry you. Okay, you don't need to give me permission to carry you. I'll carry you if I want to, and furthermore, I don't particularly want to, so I do not need your permission to carry you. Anyway, I said that I would be commenting on the differences between the Master Quest version, although they're all just in the dungeon and not anywhere else as far as I know, and the original version. It's very hard to get her on to sit on that thing, because it's hard to get yourself in the right place whilst you're jumping, as you can see. But the main difference here, and I'll admit I haven't been very diligent in pointing out the differences, partly because there's some of them where I don't actually know what the differences are because I haven't played the other version, but I've seen people let's playing the other version, and it seems to me the main difference is you don't, in the original version you carry Ruto around and you can throw at her at stuff, which must be fun because she's annoying, and that activates switches and helps you solve puzzles. And in this version, you won't really see her again in the rest of this episode. She barely appears in this version, which is nice, because she can't annoy you. And you can hear a gold sculpture here, but you can't collect it yet. You can't kill it yet, because you need the Song of Time to be able to remove the block that it's inside. So you can kill the fish when they're doing that, but otherwise you can't. Anyway, yeah, it's just underneath you and you can't kill it yet, not until you're an adult. I think it's just before you're an adult, but anyway, not yet. And you can't in fact kill any of the gold sculptures in this dungeon, which is one of the annoying things about this dungeon. I suppose it makes sense that Ruto would be a little bit bossy because she's a princess and she's probably been waited on pretty much hand and foot for their entire life. Although she's obviously strong-willed enough to come inside here on her own when she realises that Jabu Jabu is being weird. And this chest contains a boomerang, which is one of the most incredibly useful things you can get in the game. Almost as useful as the hookshot, which we'll be getting later. And fortunately you get it early on in the dungeon as well, but once you get out of this dungeon you'll be able to use it to kill a lot of gold sculptures that we couldn't get earlier out in the various places in Hyrule. And it's also extremely useful for this dungeon because it lets you kill things that you couldn't normally get rid of. With this, I face kind of a dilemma as a Let's Player, because I have a choice between being falsely jovial, I think, pretending that I'm having a good time with this, even though I really don't like this dungeon at all, and trying to be funny and trying to be entertaining, or just being myself and being sort of real, I suppose, and honest about how I feel about this dungeon. And as a Let's Player, well, I tend to find from watching other people's videos and reading the comments that people prefer it if the Let's Player tries to be amusing and tries to sound like they're having a good time doing this. You're supposed to keep the button pressed down, the down button in this case, or the left button or the right button, whichever button you assign the boomerang to. You're supposed to keep it held down so that you can aim, and I keep on forgetting to do that. Here, see how annoying the enemies are. So I made that mistake a lot. And even when you do get the boomerang, you need to target them first, and sometimes other things get in the way. They're just irritating. But yeah, I have a choice between making, you know, kind of snarky, sarcastic comments and complaining about this dungeon, or trying to be entertaining and not really being myself. And I think whether or not I be myself and what style, I suppose, I want to do this in is something where I shouldn't really be asking you. No offence, but I think it's something where, as a Let's Player, I need to decide for myself what sort of style I want to do the Let's Plays in. So, and you didn't really need to go in that last room I was in, to be honest. Once you've got the boomerang, you just need to be in here. Once you've got the right equipment, anyway, which I forgot to get, and we'll be getting in a second. But I thought I might as well keep the footage of my being in there in, so that I can show you that you can now attack the weird wobbly red things that electrocute you, and so I could show you that with the boomerang you can now attack the jellyfish. And if you can hear another noise, it sounds a bit like a washing machine. That's my washing machine. To be perfectly honest, because I'm re-recording this, I've just thought, you know what, if I make more noise then I make noise. You know, normally I wouldn't be drinking coffee whilst doing this, but since I've had to re-record this again, it's just not worth it to me, really. So, I might as well admit this. I don't like this dungeon at all. Apart from bottom of the well and water temple, I think it's the most complicated dungeon, and I think it's probably one of the least fun as well. Water temple is maybe worse, but yeah, this is not fun, this dungeon. The enemies are annoying because, as I say, it's quite a while before you're actually capable of killing them. And even then you have to target them first, which I find irritating. And there's no map, and it's a complicated dungeon. I've cut out a lot of the bits where I just got lost. I've cut it down from 40 minutes to 23 minutes, roughly. So yeah, I spent a long time just wandering around lost in this dungeon, and it's also quite a horrible looking dungeon. to be honest. I mean, I suppose it's quite interesting having a dungeon that's inside a giant fish. Apart from sort of Jonah in the Bible, I don't think there's ever really been a story where you're sort of inside a giant fish. So this is only the second story in the Trapped in a Giant Fish genre. Now, I suppose it's interesting, but just look at how sort of flashy and organic and undulating everything is. If you need to use the word undulating to describe a dungeon, then yeah, that dungeon is barely revolting. And that's what this is. This is a disgusting looking dungeon. Those bomb tubes, by the way, are quite annoying because they go in whatever direction they feel like going in, no matter where you're actually pointing them. So it will probably take you several tries to be able to do anything with them. You can see that although I cut out several of my tries, you can easily see there that I've gone from about 10 to only about 6 of them left. So the only reason I didn't force you to watch my failed attempts is because I thought that would be boring, not because there weren't any failed attempts. I don't know if the floor is actually moving the boxes away from you or if it just looks that way, but this bit kind of reminds me of the 1970s psychedelic prog rock music video. It must cause incredible pain for the cows for you to shoot them with your slingshot. They seem to remain fairly calm about it. And now we have a creature called a like, and you do not want to get too close because it will swallow your shield, and there are no fresh shields, new shields available in this dungeon, unlike the last one we were in. And unfortunately it's hard to tell where they'll show up. They kind of show up in the middle, but you need to get the cow on one side and then kill the like, and then get the cow on the other and kill the like. But to make it appear, you need to sort of wander around aimlessly. It's unfortunate because sometimes you wander straight into its mouth, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to tell you what that reminds me of, because there might be children watching this. But yeah, you don't want to wander into its mouth, and so the best you can do is just hope that you don't. And all of this just to light that one torch and get some Deku sticks, which are things I already had. Unfortunately, without the torch, it's impossible to proceed through this dungeon. But still, I wish you could do more, having gone through this room. Now these root things are the things that's causing Jabu Jabu to be a bit weird, if you want to put it like that. It's a fish that has cows teleporting into it. Or maybe it really does just swallow more cows whole. I guess it's possible. you want to get close to those things to make them move down, but you don't want to stay close for too long, otherwise they'll hit you and that will electrocute you. But yeah, if you could call Jabu Jabu normal, considering the fact that it's got weird wobbly red electrical things growing out of the inside of his mouth. See, it's disgusting. Anyway, if you could call that normal, it's been less normal than usual because of those root things. And you would have thought some of these things would have been taken care of by its digestive system by now. Perhaps that isn't working because of the root things. And yeah, I should have warned you before. If you're of a rather delicate sensibilities and have a good imagination, you might not want to be watching this whilst you're eating. I know some of my comments aren't that pleasant. And then some of you will be going, what? There's nothing wrong with your comments here. Why are you saying that? See, the boxes look like they're moving it away from you. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this episode. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to be continuing with Jabu Jabu. I was hoping to get further than this in this dungeon, but a lot went wrong, and some of it I couldn't edit out. It just seems to take me a while to get through the dungeons, probably because I make a lot of mistakes. So yeah, I'm going to say goodbye now, and I will talk to you again in the next episode.